Right folks, another scrapyard video. Let's go and see what is in my local scrapyard 6 months, well 7 months now since I last went. And hey presto, in the entire scrapyard we've got a Mark II Focus over here. Quite interestingly, it's been broken for quite a few spares already. Oh dear, the entire fuse box has been taken apart. Yeah, much more sophisticated fuse box than the Mark Is. We got the diesel engine. Oh dearie me, it's not a wet belt one, is it? Well, someone's had a go. I don't know if it's a wet belt one, but the TDCI engine, I don't think it is. I think this is an early TDCI engine without the wet belt. Yeah, this is kind of died a death. It was quite solid, to be honest with you, along the box sections. And I don't know what these are for. Honestly, these are Zetec S stuff, aren't they? I'm sure this is a Zetec S trim if I'm wrong. But they're horrible. My mate's got seats like this, and I feel these on my back. They're just, what on earth is that about? It's just cheap. You got the earlier dashboard, which is quite nice actually. Yeah, well, cranes do live there in Marks. Now, this subframe, it's not too bad. I can't really see too much in there, but actually that's pretty good. I mean, it's not exactly uncommon. Again, you've got these vents that leak on the sides. That's typical for Mark II as well. And, oh, okay, we've had a bit of a parts trawl in there. A lot has been taken off this car. Quite a bit has been taken off this car. And the filler flap's missing. Bashed up micro. I can't make out what this is. Oh god, it's a Merc. Okay. Just curiosity gets the better of me. Mould. And they're not the most comfortable seats, I have to say. My first impression there, but anyway, the most expensive bit has been taken out. Ooh, Vectra. It is an 07 plate Vectra. Just smells and looks so American. I think the seats are quite comfy actually. My first impression of the seat test. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. It even just sounds. Alright, I think I better get on with this. Ooh, okay, Fusion. Right, let's get on with this. Focus Mark I. What have we got here? Oh, 1.6 Sigma in all its glory, and we've got a lot of coolant loss by the pump. That's completely usual. The hydro mount has not gone. I can't see any evidence of oil around there, which is interesting. It's had a lot of bits taken off it, just the usual bits and pieces. Yeah. Sad times, sad times. Got a lot of nice fuses in there. Trust me, if them fuses blow, you're in trouble. And it gets very mucky around these spark plug holes, but quite interesting. And the cross member doesn't look too bad on the radiator. Everything looks quite nice. You've got the aircon, you've got the evaporator just here, sits on the side, and you've got all the pipe work, which I do not have on my car, and the typical rust on the front wing, which this is common for them to go in this area, really bad. Mine's only just started on the passenger one, but down here it doesn't look too bad. It looks a bit frilly as usual, but nothing bad at all. Most of this looks original to me. I mean, the anti-roll bars tend to do this. They just tend to peel the paint, and it looks worse than what it is, but you just need to get the paint off and give it a good coat of primer and satin black, and it will look fine. As I say, the cross member might get a bit funny down here, but say that actually that looks pretty good for the radiator. Well, actually that's the condenser that sits on the front for the aircon cars, which I don't have. I just have a gearbox cooler. Ooh. Right, might have to just jump in here. Oh God, have you seen the mould? Oh God, that makes me feel sick. This is an LX. The sill doesn't look too bad going down here, but I'm now going to yeah, it's just, this is weak. This is very weak. Yeah, this is not good. And as we take a look at the back side, this is common. Right, it's literally fallen off in my hands. But what happens is clay gets embedded at the back of this. I mean, look at all this. This is where the clay ends up, and this is why I say you've got to take these arch liners off and clean if you are intent on keeping them in the car. I mean, look at the mud that sticks to these things. It's just, it clumps. And then you've got all this in here. You see how it's going rusty around the strut tops? They can just rot all around here, and I bet you there's nothing left. I'm amazed that that is actually solid. I really am. I mean, look in there, right? Look all around here. Now, I have not touched this, okay, but this is where it goes. This is where it's rotten. This clip normally pulls out. Let's see what happens. Oh dear, that's just not good. I mean, look at that. That is what happens. I don't want to worry people that have still got their arch liners, but this is why you must remove the arch liners and throw them in the bin. They do nothing. They do nothing good for your car. I mean, the bottom arms, this is normal. This is completely normal. In fact, I'd say this one looks okay. It doesn't look as bad as what I've seen, but they can just break around where the drop link goes. Again, the springs are just nasty, and they most likely will snap. The springs look worse than the arms in this case. The subframe, again, can just rot through here. This one doesn't seem that bad. The filler pipes look a bit, no, they look bad. This is where it tends to go on this section. I mean, there might be some good metal. I've got a feeling that's going to go through. That looks like terminal rust to me. That's far worse than my the ones that I refurbed on my car. Again, it's what happens is water gets in here and goes and sits in this bit, and that's why they rust out commonly. This side's been completely missing. Lovely. Someone's obviously had this side. Somebody obviously thinks that that is worth, well, I'm not being funny, if that's like that, whoever's taken that, for whatever reason, I hope he's not going to use the arm, because that's not suitable. It's just too, it's too far gone. The subframe looks a bit funny on the top here. The bolts have completely, I mean, you're not going to get that out. It will, this is rounded because the metal has just taken away all that surface of the nut, and that bolt will be seized in the back washer. Remarkably, someone has actually, no, what they've done is they've cut it off. Now, I've got a feeling they've done that for the hub. That explains that then. They've obviously, they've had enough. They've obviously tried to, but they've discovered that it's seized. So to get that arm off, they've had to cut it off. Yeah, it's just the same. I mean, look at this. This is all mud sitting in that box section. Then it rots from the inside out on the subframe. It actually doesn't look too bad. It is, I think this subframe is treatable, just about. I think it looks worse than what it actually is. Again, these bushes just go a bit, and then there's play in the actual putting the whole car down. Gotta be careful of that. I don't want the whole car falling on my head. This exhaust is so much smaller than mine. My automatic one seems to be a bit bigger in diameter for some reason. Again, that looks like that's actually well, it's the same one. It's a Clarios. That's a Clarios, same one as mine. Again, you know, tank straps. Again, this is missing the heat shield. There should be a shield over the exhaust. I really wouldn't recommend throwing the shield away because it's broken. You have to replace it. It's not ideal. Again, you know, look at the rot on the inside behind the arch liner, right? That's the sort of stuff that's just, I mean, it's just nothing to this. Look at this. That's rotten. That's completely and utterly rotten. Again, that's not good either. They go a bit frilly in the corners. Again, this side is a similar picture really. I mean, actually, that's more solid. That is more solid, but again, that could be okay. It might not be though. Again, same picture. Oh dearie me. Now this is a sign that there is a weakness in the sill because of corrosion. I mean, we've got all this going on. This is usual at the end. Just in this section, you need this cutting out realistically, and it basically welds itself. It's like a seam with like two pieces of metal seamed together. See, this is two pieces of metal all the way along here, and they start to separate. Water gets in between them, and then you get this corrosion all the way around here. But the reason it's gone like that is not because it's been jacked up inappropriately. It's because the sill is weak because of rust, and it's just gone like that. It's just, I mean, this is not too bad. It's not too bad at all. Yeah, it's just not a good sign. I'm amazed. This is a good wing, this is. I'm amazed that hasn't actually gone. Get a bit, I mean, this goes a bit scabby, but this is usual. I don't think these discs are going to be used again, to be honest. Again, they go a bit scabby around. These brackets can snap given a moment's notice. I've got ABS on this, so you've got your plug down here. Again, your gearbox is quite dry. Oh God, bottom of that engine looks a bit coated in oil, as usual from oil filter leaks, which is common. That is not how they should look. It's really sad how they end up, but that is the only one in this scrapyard, and I think it's indicative that a lot of these cars are very much have left us. There should be more than this. I know scrapyards have got more than this, but that's just the way it is. That is what a Mark 1 looks in the scrapyard typically. It's very sad to see. We have got to look at the brethren of the Mondeo. 55 plate. Obviously above it we actually have a Fiesta with a Sigma engine, and that one looks much more healthier. A bit more oil down there, but it looks very dry actually. Typical Ford door shut opening. And whoa, excuse me, I'm gonna be sick looking at that wheel. It's just, you know, typical. I don't know, you got the Ford. That's quite nice. Got this big like cross member at the front. It's all made of plastic. Is this plastic? Yeah, it's completely plastic. I didn't know that Mondeo's had a completely plastic shroud, and yeah, there's a bit missing there. I really am not a fan of minis. Apart from the struts, I do like struts. This is an R53. It is indeed, and this is the Tritec engine, which is very controversial because I'm not being funny. They should have used the K series in the Mini, but I think BMW just didn't want it because of the head gasket supposed issues. And I say supposedly because they're not as bad as what they're made out to be. It's just, I think BMW, I think they knew what they wanted to do with the Mini. They wanted to take it away from Rover, so they got this engine built in Brazil, so they weren't reliant on Rover's K series, and I think that's the story behind this engine. It's not as good as a K series. I really don't believe that this engine is anywhere near as good. I think it's a little bit more old school. It's a cast iron block. and everything else. It was a backward step for me, but it was a good enough engine for BMW to get this car marketed and to get the Mini going in this construction. We have got some nice seats here. I like these seats, actually. I do like them. Big massive speedometer at the front. Yeah, that's quite cool, that is. I do like the Speedo. I do like it. It's a retro touch and they got it right. I think the design was absolutely perfectly right. You can see a lot of Rover 75 details in here, including one particular thing. If I can actually come to the back, it is an 05 plate. Black box fitted. Oh shit, tripping over everything. Oh lovely, there's no glass. I mean, even the door handles up these are heavy. That is one heavy door. Excuse me, I wouldn't normally bash somebody's car, but I don't really care. Yeah, the glove box, basically, that is Rover 75. Is that not a Rover 75 glove box? It's very, very similar. That's nice. Just little touches here, like the gear lever, like that. And these, I think that's a really classy touch. These rocker switches, I like them. There were some really nice touches to these cars. It wasn't quite what I think people were expecting, but I think there's a lot of love for these R50 53s. I really do. Do you know, it's not every occasion where you just get to bash somebody's car. Imagine doing this every time. I know people that actually just do this. They literally just, every time they get out the car, that's all they do. Every time you go to the shops, you come back and your car's got a freaking great dent. I mean, that didn't take much. I've actually dented it already. And then you realise, oh my God, I've got this whacking great dent in the door. Ooh, okay, maybe not. Right, let's go on. Oh my goodness. Oh, I didn't even spot this. No way, it's an estate. Ah, it's an 02 reg. This video doesn't end here. Usual gaffer tape to the rear light. Usual sticky out bumper with a tow bar. Oh wow. Okay, oh yes. So this is an 02 plate. So this is the same age as my Focus, right? This is probably what my Focus would look like now if I hadn't have done anything. Well, it wouldn't exist. And well, I won't touch that. That spring's completely snapped. Yeah, that's just usual. And if we do the test, oh, this is worse. It's already gone. That is just, it's just non-existent. I mean, look at that. You can't even see where the bracket is. There's so much mud. Oh, it's come away. The bracket's broken. It's actually rotten off the body. That's another thing. Oh, that's solid. I can't do it. Can I do this? Wow, I can bend it. That shows that there's a weakness. That's a sad, sad thing. They might call me the Mark 1 wheel arch breaker at some point. Really sad. These are such great load luggers, it's untrue. The capacity in these is ridiculous, and I would have one actually, to be fair. You got the black door mirrors, which is, it could have been earlier, but I think it's a replacement. I can't see any badges, and there's no way of telling what spec is this. No, there's no badges. Some of them never got badges. It's nasty. This is what happens. This is also what happens on every single model if you don't clean around here, because the rust just develops around the plastic. Let me guess. Well, we've got a walnut dash, which is interesting because that console, that walnut console, does not match the interior. This is an LX. This looks like an LX to me. And yeah, we've got a oh no, it's a leather steering wheel. Well, this is a weird mix because I don't think these are not Z-Tech seats whatsoever. But the dash, no, these don't go together. You wouldn't have got leather and that fascia panel. This has been messed around with, this car. Interesting device. Don't know what that's on there for, but I think this car's been messed around with. And we got Peugeot mats. That's not right. This is a Ford. And we'll show you while I'm here. Your ground points that I keep talking about, there's a couple down here. God, that's soaking. That's absolutely soaking. It's just gone nasty down here. Oh, no, it's gone the same way as mine. It's rubbish. It's just falling to pieces. Yeah. Right, this is an O2 registration. Then why have we got these? This is ridiculous. This must be a really, really late registered pre-facelift, because pretty much by 51 plate, they'd moved on to the facelifted version. But it's quite clear from here, this is not. This is actually a really late pre-facelift, a Mark 1, not a Mark 1.5. How interesting. So maybe that's why the seats are a little bit different. We have had a bit of a mix here going on. I mean, this car has been messed around with. I think someone's fitted that and fitted that, but the seats are the giveaway. It's possible that the leather steering wheel, which I tell you what, that is not leather no more. That is completely shot. That's the worst one I've seen in a long time. But oh Christ, I've just noticed this. Yeah, that's really bad. I've not seen one get that bad. It's literally scabbed up from the inside. That is also another thing you need to watch out for. But I've got to be honest with you, unless you let your car stand for years, it's never going to get this bad. That is pretty bad. Unfortunately, I've got no way of telling if this is I think this is a petrol. It is a petrol, this car, because the speedometer gives it away. It's not a good sign. And the scuttle's completely broken. But the fact it's got these door mirrors suggests that it is, I'd say this is a feature on the earlier cars, that they didn't even body coordinate the doors. I don't know why that's there. Oh God, someone's life is in here. I just don't want to touch any feces. You never know what sort of stuff people have done on these seats. It's just not worth thinking about. Bye-bye, old thing. Sorry that this is come to this sort of stage, but tell you what, somebody wants some roof bars. Yeah, the rubber's gone on it. They do tend to go like that. There is a rubber insert, but I think you can, oh, you can actually remove this. I think if you get this out the way, you can remove and replace the rubbers. Maximum of 100 kilograms. Really useful, and this car's definitely being used and enjoyed. Sadly, no more. 03 Fiesta, Mark 5. There's a lot missing to that. We have a Landy. Don't ask me what that engine is, because I couldn't tell you. I know that the K series could have been had with this car. Excuse me, I just politely bashed the next door neighbour's car. Ooh, Freelander, mats, mouldy gear lever, fat centre console, mouldy steering wheel, and a clunky radio. I mean, that is, oh God. Ford ownership has got a lot to say for this. Mind you, some of this was designed before. It's just cheap off-roading. Some of these cars outside are for scrappage as well. This one has just come in apparently. It's an 04 plate, gear by the look of it, with a load of scuffs. Diesel. Yeah. Oh, that's sad. That's too neat. It is really sad to see cars in that sort of state, and it's a depiction that Mark 1s are actually not in the scrapyard as much as they used to be. They are now getting to a stage where most of the rubbish ones, the ones that have been left to basically drop on their knees, like some of the examples we've seen in there, they're gone. They're very much on the wane, and we're seeing a lot more good examples left. But it is going to get to a stage where they haven't quite obtained the sort of modern classic status that they deserve because of the wider perception. We know them as modern classics, but I'm trying to convince people that are not into these cars that these are classics, and that's the idea of the channel. But they're not going to be in the scrapyards very much. So it's in this weird phase where every car goes through this phase where they are not particularly appreciated, quite cheap, but you can't get the parts from the scrapyards because they're not in the scrapyards. This is a really weird part of their life. It's sad, it's really sad, but the idea of the channel is to stop that from happening now. There should be less of them going in there, and whatever means necessary to keep them going. Hopefully my videos will start basically prevent that, or at least slow the rate down as such. Anyway, you take care. I will see you very soon.